Chapter 6: Insight and Introspection. A quote from Ambrose Bierce. Mind, a mysterious form of matter secreted by the brain. Its chief activity consists in the endeavour to ascertain its own nature, the futility of the attempt being due to the fact that it has nothing but itself to know itself with. 6.1. Consciousness. A definition from Webster's Unabridged Dictionary. Having a feeling or knowledge of one's sensations, feelings, etc., or of external things, knowing or feeling that something is or was happening or existing. Definition 3, aware of oneself as a thinking being, knowing what one is doing and why. In real life, you often have to deal with things you don't completely understand. You drive a car not knowing how its engine works. You ride as a passenger in someone else's car not knowing how that driver works. Most strange of all, you drive your body and your mind not knowing how your own self works. Isn't it amazing that we can think not knowing what it means to think? Isn't it remarkable that we can get ideas yet not explain what ideas are? In every normal person's mind, there seem to be processes that we call consciousness. We usually regard them as enabling us to know what's happening inside our minds. But this reputation of self-awareness is not so well deserved, because our conscious thoughts reveal to us so little of what gives rise to them. Consider how a driver guides the immense momentum of a motor car, not knowing how its engine works or how its steering wheel directs it to the left or right. Yet, when one comes to think of it, we drive our bodies in much the same way. So far as conscious thought is concerned, you turn yourself to walk in a certain direction in much the way you steer a car. You are aware only of some general intention, and all the rest takes care of itself. To change your direction of motion is actually quite complicated. If you simply took a larger or smaller step on one side, the way you would turn a rowboat, you would fall toward the outside of the turn. Instead, you start to turn by making yourself fall toward the inside and then use centrifugal force to right yourself on the next step. This incredible process involves a huge society of muscles, bones, and joints, all controlled by hundreds of interacting programs that even specialists don't yet understand. Yet, all you think is, turn that way, and your wish is automatically fulfilled. We give the name signals to acts whose consequences are not inherent in their own character, but have merely been assigned to them. When you accelerate your car by pressing on the gas pedal, this is not what does the work. It is merely a signal to make the engine push the car. Similarly, rotating the steering wheel is merely a signal that makes the steering mechanism turn the car. The car's designer could easily have assigned the pedal to steer the car or made the steering wheel control its speed. But practical designers try to exploit the use of signals that already have acquired some significance. Our conscious thoughts use signal signs to steer the engines in our minds, controlling countless processes of which we're never much aware. Not understanding how it's done, we learn to gain our ends by sending signals to those great machines, much as the sorcerers of older times used rituals to cast their spells. 6.2. Signals and signs. How do we ever understand anything? Almost always, I think, by using one or another kind of analogy, that is, by representing each new thing as though it resembles something we already know. Whenever a new thing's internal workings are too strange or complicated to deal with directly, we represent whatever parts of it we can in terms of more familiar signs. This way, we make each novelty seem similar to some more ordinary thing. It really is a great discovery, the use of signals, symbols, words, and names. They let our minds transform the strange into the commonplace. Suppose an alien architect has invented a radically new way to go from one room to another. This invention serves the normal function of a door, but it has a form and mechanism so far outside our experience that to see it, we would never recognize it as a door, nor guess how to use it. All its physical details are wrong. It is not what we normally expect a door to be. a hinged, swinging wooden slab set into a wall. No matter. Just superimpose on its exterior some decoration, symbol, icon, token, word, or sign that can remind us of its use. Clothe it in rectangular shape, or add to it a push-plated lettered exit in red and white, and every visitor from the planet Earth will know, without a conscious thought, just what that pseudo-portal's purpose is, and use it as though it were a door. At first, it may seem mere trickery to assign the symbol for a door to an invention that is not really a door, but we're always in the same predicament. There are no doors inside our minds, only connections among signs. To overstate the case a bit, what we call consciousness consists of little more than menu lists that flash from time to time on mental screen displays that other systems use. It is very much like the way the players of computer games use symbols to invoke the processors inside their complicated game machines without the slightest understanding of how they work. And when you come to think about it, it scarcely could be otherwise. Consider what would happen if we actually could confront the trillion wire networks in our brains. Scientists have peered at tiny fragments of these structures for many years, yet failed to comprehend what they do. Unfortunately, for the purposes of everyday life, it is enough for our words or signals to evoke some useful happenings within the mind. Who cares how they work, so long as they work? Consider how you can scarcely see a hammer except as something to hit with, or a ball except as something to throw and catch. Why do we see things less as they are and more in view of how they can be used? It is because our minds did not evolve to serve as instruments for science or philosophy, but to solve practical problems of nutrition, defense, procreation, and the like. We tend to think of knowledge as good in itself, but knowledge is useful only when we can exploit it to help us reach our goals. 6.3 Thought experiments.